So we're going to start in chapter 4 and 5 and chapter 8 and chapter 11 and 12. And so if we go to the next slide, dealing with three speeches which cover three schools of wisdom and why none of them work. Why all of them ultimately are inadequate. And so I want you to think about all the different philosophies and all the different points of view and approaches in this world, and how ultimately uh, the end of all of these is this: we really just don't know. And so we're going to look at three schools of wisdom today, and so we're going to have to fly through this. There's a lot to cover. So if we go to the overview slide. Job predates the laws of Moses, probably took place sometime during the period of the patriarchs detailed in Genesis 12 through 50. The book is considered to be Hebrew wisdom literature. It has a prologue, three series of speeches representing different types of worldly wisdom. Next week we'll get the speech of the angry young man, and then we get the Yahweh or God response and the epilogue. We see the results of God's response. And so today we're going to look at the wisdom of the world. And the wisdom of this world is notorious for being partly right. Back in the 80s, Dr. Tony Campolo, Anthony Campolo, wrote a book, and it was called We Have Met the Enemy, and They Are Partly Right. And so if you think about this, anytime you're in a discussion, you're going to highlight the strengths of your views and downplay the weakness of your views. And the people that you're discussing it with, if they have views contrary to yours, what are they going to do? Well, they're going to highlight their strength and downplay the weakness. And so we can say, well, they're partly right. They're partly right. And so this was a 1985 book about philosophy, teaching, and political views that differ from evangelical Christianity. And so that's kind of the type of thing that we're looking at. Today, we're going to have three worldviews that are partly right, but are mostly wrong when it comes down to the true essence of it. And so as we start on that, we're going to start in Job chapter 4, verse 1 through 4, and it says this: Then Eliphaz, the Temanite, replied, "Should anyone try to speak to you when you're exhausted? Yet who can keep from speaking?" He said, "Job, you're talking crazy because you're tired. You're worn out. You've lost your family. You lost your wealth. You've lost your resources. You've lost your health. You're worn out. And so who can try to speak to you when you're in this condition?" But then he says, "But who can keep from speaking?" And basically what he said was, "Now I know you're worn out, but I got to say this. But I think you need to hear that." And so as he begins to speak, he talks about, he goes, "Job, indeed, you've instructed many and have strengthened weak hands." You go back and read about Job in chapter 1. He was a leader in the community and a strong man and a man who of great honor and great wisdom and insight. And he'd helped others and instructed others. He goes, "Your words have steadied the one who was stumbling and braced the knees that were buckling. But now that this has happened to you, you've become exhausted. It strikes you and you are dismayed. Isn't your piety, your confidence in the integrity of your life, your hope? Considered who has perished when he was innocent? Where have the honest been destroyed? In my experience, those who plow injustice and those who sow trouble reap the same." And drop down to chapter 5, verse 14. And Eliphaz says here, "God frustrates the schemes of the crafty so that they achieve no success. He traps the wise in their craftiness so that the plans of the deceptive are quickly brought to an end. So the poor have the hope, and injustice shuts its mouth. But see how happy is the person whom God corrects. So do not reject the discipline of the Almighty. So we go to the next slide. What we see here is Eliphaz gives us experiential wisdom and piety. Job, when it was all going well for you, you were quick to to say these encouraging words. But now that you're tired, now that you're hurting, it's different. Well, it is different. Let's face it, life is different when everything is rainbows, lollipops, and life is different when we're on a roll. And it changes when we have a health issue. It changes when we lose a loved one. It changes when disaster strikes out of nowhere. And so what Eliphaz does is he represents observation and ancient mysticism, in that he kind of takes that worldview that uh, it all happens for a reason. Here you go. And so he focuses on his personal life experiences. You'll notice that he says, well, in my experience, anyone who's ended up like you, and that's just not the case. It's not the case. If we were to go to St. Jude's Children's Hospital and see those young children that are racked with terrible ailments, well, what did they do? Right? It's not that easy. It comes from his personal observation, and then maybe this mystical insight and his own personal piety. Maybe if I'm good enough, I can avoid all the troubles of life. I can be honest with you. There's times when I did wrong and things went fine. There's things that I did right and And so he goes, isn't your piety, in verse 6, your confidence, and the integrity of life your hope? Consider who has perished when he was innocent. Where have the honest been destroyed? Well, the Bible's full of times when and so, listen, we do right because we hope that we'll be blessed in doing it. But sometimes we can do right and bad things happen. So following Jesus is not a ticket to Nerf World. You throw a Nerf ball at someone, right? You shoot them with a Nerf dart. We don't live in that. We live in a world where there's hurt and pain, heartache, frustration, and struggles. And so the wisdom on this as well, if he's done right, if he do, but if you go back and look at what Job did, Job went above and beyond. He prayed for his family. And like they would get together and have a party. He said, man, I don't know if they did right. I wasn't there to monitor, but let's get together and let's pray and purify. And he offered sacrifices on their behalf. It wasn't a matter of piety. And we can go back. We have the benefit of reading the prologue, so we know what's actually going on. They're living this in real time. Go to the next slide. In verse 44, in Matthew 5:44 and 45, Eliphaz suggests that since Job is suffering, he cannot be innocent. But Jesus speaks in the New Testament. He says, I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, so you may be children of your Father in heaven. For he causes his sun to rise on the evil and the good, and sends rain on the righteous and the unrighteous. Right? So Jesus doesn't affirm that, well, if you do everything right, it's going to be okay. Matter of fact, that would be kind of silly for him to do that, because he did everything right and they killed him. beat him. They rejected him. They ran him out of town after town. And so he doesn't hold on to that. He says, listen, the sun rises on the good and the bad. The rain falls on the righteous and the unrighteous. You know, you're going to have struggles and difficulties in this life. And so we drop down into the book of Luke. Go to the next slide. This is Luke, and I didn't put the right. Actually, this is Luke 13, 1 through 5. It says, At that time, some people came and reported him about the Galileans whose blood Pilate had mixed with their sacrifices, and he responded to them, do you think that these Galileans were more sinful than all the other Galileans because they suffered? Drop down to verse. Actually, this should be chapter 13, verse 20. Okay, drop down to verse 3. He said, no, I tell you, but unless you repent, you will all perish as well. For those 18 that the tower in Siloam fell on and killed, do you think that they were more sinful than the other people who lived in Jerusalem? No. I tell you, but unless you repent, you will all perish as well. And so he's saying to them, they weren't punished because they were evil. They simply had the misfortune of being in this location when a tower fell. During the Oklahoma City bombing, I had my cousin's husband had stopped at that building to go to a credit union to use an ATM to get funds for a trip out of town. He was there when it exploded. Dropped a couple of 3 stories and got hung up on some rebar and piping in the coast. Had serious injuries, but he said, well, was he there because part of his prayer in that spot? So go to the next slide, please. It's partly right. God blesses piety and righteousness, but partly wrong. Piety and good behavior is no exemption. Have cancer because of what you did. Could have cancer because of what. And so we have to understand, listen, this type of thinking does more condemning than confirming and comforting. And as we deal with people going through difficult times, we want to be affirming and comforting as we can. Now, obviously, there's some times when our misfortune is very definitely the wages of sin. But just being piety, personal piety and right behavior does not excuse me. So let's go on now to Job chapter 8, verses 1 through 6, and we get Bildad, the Shuhite. And then Bildad, the Shuhite, replied, how long will you go on saying these things? Your words are a blast of wind. He's a patient king. Does God pervert justice? Does the Almighty pervert what is right? Since your children sinned against him, he gave them over to their rebellion. But if you earnestly seek God and ask the Almighty for mercy, if you are pure and upright, then he will move even now on your behalf and restore the home where your righteousness dwells. Well, Bildad represents legal wisdom and justice. God only operates in a fixed, predictable, traditional, and logical, according to human logic framework. Obviously, your children sin. But we know that he had worked to purify them of their sins and offered sacrifices. and there was no evidence of wrongdoing, but he went above and beyond to do that. And so he focuses on a legal framework. What you get or experience is your just reward. It is justice. Job's children sinned and joined Job's rebellion. It's a shame that Bildad couldn't read chapter 1. It wasn't written down for him. If he could have read chapter 1, he would have known better, right? And so we go back and look at chapter 1, verse 5. It says, whenever a round of banqueting was over, Job would send his children and purify them, rising early in the morning to offer burnt offerings for all of them. For Job thought, perhaps my children have cursed God in their hearts. This was Job's regular practice. So he was working with them. Now, obviously, we know that once our children are grown adults, they are responsible for their decisions from that point forward. I look at my life, and one of the things I cared too much about my child being happy. I should have been more concerned about her being. I think put too much focus on his happiness, because let's face it, you can have everything. Watched a video when they asked this guy, what's wrong with the world? Is that people are living like kings, but they don't have a point of reference to real life. Right? You're living like kings. For instance, how many of you have had a hot shower? You know, Henry VIII, he was the King of England. How many of you have known someone who struggled with gout, but they were? Henry VIII had gout. There was no way to treat it. So it's hard for me to imagine that we didn't move into a house. Now, we did have problems. One of the things that we don't have a frame of reference for how good they're in the room, not had a need really in their lives, understand desperate. And they have never had to put that little piece of white out into a manual typewriter to cover up that error so they don't rewrite the entire page for their room. I'm not picking it. I'm just saying, I've forgotten what. I've forgotten. Just stupid. The other night I looked on the schedule and there was basketball. That's Tony's worst night. I thought, 12-year-old wants the NBA take the lane after the 10 o'clock news. Could not even fathom it. So, 15 subscriptions, 180 channels. The idea is actually how blessed we are on. Bildad goes on to say, man, if God would show up, he would show you the secrets of wisdom, for true wisdom has two sides. And know then that God has chosen to overlook some of your iniquity, but can you fathom the depths of can you fathom the depths of God or discover the limits of Almighty? They're higher than the heavens. What can you do? They're deeper than Sheol. What can you know? Their measure is longer than the earth and wider than the sea. If he passes by and throws someone in prison or convenes court, who can stop him? Surely he knows which people are worthless. If he sees iniquity, will he not take note of it? But a stupid person will gain understanding as soon as a wild donkey is born a human. As for you, if you redirect your heart and spread out your hands to him and pray, if there's iniquity in your hand, remove it, and don't allow injustice to dwell in your tents. Then you'll hold your head high, free from fault. You'll be firmly established and unafraid. But the truth be told, the unjust often go unpunished. Think about the story of the rich man and Lazarus. Jesus tells that story, and he said, hey, the rich man is in hell, separated from God. He wants freedom from his torment. He says, hey, listen, you had all the good things in life. Lazarus had none of the good things. But you didn't acknowledge me. You didn't acknowledge God enough. But his entire life, he lived as a wealthy and powerful man. And so there are often painful, go to the next one. There are often painful consequences to sin and sinful lifestyle. All right? There's addiction, anxiety, sometimes anxiety, depression, or illnesses. But I'm just going to tell you, if you're living an ungodly lifestyle and engaged in things that are not of God, then you have a higher aptitude for anxiety, depression, anger, alienation, and hopelessness. So there are often painful consequences to sin like that, but there's no, it's not one of those things, well, it's always going to be just. I'm thankful that I'm not getting my I'm a sinner. My wages of my life. I'm thankful that God goes beyond justice. That Jesus satisfied God's justice with his atonement. All right, let's get down here to Zophar. We've already made it to the third stream, and we might get out in time for supper. Here we go. NASCAR. All right. Then Zophar the Naamathite replied, should this abundance of words go unanswered and such a talker be acquitted? Should your babbling put others to silence so you can keep on ridiculing with no one to humiliate you? You've said my teaching is sound and I'm pure in your sight, but if only God would speak and open his lips against you, he would show you the secrets of wisdom. For true wisdom has two sides. Know that God has chosen to overlook. Oh, this is what I read. Nope, this is. So that's what I wanted. That's why this was so. So I don't want to read through all of that again, but here's what Zophar is with retribution theology. Zophar says, I wish God would show up and shut you up. Really, if God showed up, he'd shut you up. He's dogmatic, unforgiving, would have fit in well with the Pharisees in the New Testament. All suffering is divine punishment. The modern equivalent would be karma, which is more of an Eastern Indian thing, Eastern mysticism, and that in that realm. And so it's all about the retribution. And so we've got these three different things. We have justice and retribution and experience. We have all of that. Uh, and these three worldviews are partly right, but mostly wrong. The enemy attacks us with accusations that are partly right. I'm trying to be all good at church and show, but I know what you thought. I've confessed it. Jesus is not going to out of me. Filled misery. Yet he used him just 50 days later. Preached. The enemy attacks us with accusations, and they're partly right, but don't let them disturb all right. And if you know the Doobie Brothers, just all, more than just all. Go to Job chapter 12 with me. Pop up here. And Job answered. And one of the things I like about the book of Job is it is real. I can imagine sitting around with my friends, listening to this, and then someone having an answer. No doubt, you are the people. Wisdom will die with you. You have all the answers. But he says, but I also have a mind like you. I'm not inferior to you. He doesn't know the things you are talking about. I'm a laughing stock to my friends by calling on God who answers me. The righteous and blameless man is a laughing stock. Drop down to verse 10 in Job chapter 12. It says, the life of everything is in his hand, as well as the breath of all humanity. And verse 13 says, wisdom and strength belong to God. Counsel and understanding are his. And so what we see with Job is the wisdom of faith. Wisdom of faith. Now listen, is Job perfect? No. But Job responds in faith. He says everything's in God's hands. Wisdom and strength belong to him. Counsel and understanding. And at some point, we're going to face things that we do not understand. We can't understand the tragedy for a church in Ohio, total upheaval. We can't understand how this could happen and where lives are lost here. We can't understand. I don't think we can understand the bravery and the boldness of Christians in Iran who've been losing their lives for the past couple of months now. While the world's afraid of what it will cause with oil and politics and all this, well, listen, these people. Wisdom and strength belong to God. So we have worldly wisdom. And I will tell you this, worldly wisdom is always partly right. But the full scope of the matter, the wisdom of faith is this. God is an almighty, all-knowing, benevolent God who gives and supports all life. All things are created by God through Christ in John chapter 1. All things. And then all things are held together in Christ. You can find that in the book of Colossians chapter 1. But here's where we have to land our plane. Not all things are explainable or understandable on this side of the grave. You have experienced losses, you've experienced failures, you've experienced hurts, you've experienced heartaches, and they still don't make sense. They still don't make sense. That doesn't dampen the magnificence of God. Set down farther along than tried. Why it should be thus all the day long. While there are others living alone, never molested. Farther along we'll know all about it. Farther along. Cheer up, my brother. Live in the sun. We'll understand it. And unfortunately, there are times in our life where that's where we have to. Farther along. Farther along. Why was this door shut? Farther along we see shut so that this door. Why did I go through this? Farther along you realize, but your trial has now become your testimony. So the wisdom of faith is very simply this. God's an almighty, all-knowing, benevolent God. Gives all life. Created by God through Christ, all things are held together in Christ. We might not understand it, we might not be able to explain it, but by faith, we have victory. Job said it really well in chapter 12, verse 13. Wisdom and strength belong to counsel and understanding. So we need to seek God for counsel. And just because you don't get all the answers you want, doesn't mean that God is not. So any type of worldly philosophy probably is going to be partly right. There's some of them that's partly Christian. But they're going to be partly right. We don't need to